Hello, my name's Ross McKenzie, and in this presentation, I'd like to show you how you can do something amazing for your business and something amazing for yourself, and that is create and deliver a value proposition that allows you to stand out from everybody else in your marketplace in 30 days. So what would that mean? Well, how would you feel about increasing your profitability by up to 100%? Yeah, these things are possible. Do you know why I know? Because I've done it. And using strategies that have allowed me to rack up over $2 billion in career sales, I'm going to show you how you can do it too. Now, I've worked with some remarkable people, and it's been incredibly rewarding to help them to achieve the results they decided that they wanted for themselves. I've worked with business angels. I've been a performance coach and consultant to sports management companies, working with a business to attract new clients and helping their athletes to perform in pursuit of their dreams. I've worked with business leaders who epitomize the very best of the word leader. Amazing people who have led comrades through combat and war zones, developed and led their colleagues through business and through life. I work with entrepreneurs and sales professionals that build businesses from the ground up, just like many of you. And I work with movers and shakers in the investment world, those people that bring together global private equity to businesses that are poised to take off. And I've worked with world-class sports people as a performance coach to show them how to get access to more of the skills that they worked so hard to acquire when they need them, and that is in the heat of competition. Which brings us to who this program is for. The Value Mentor Framework is for any business person that understands that regardless of what they make or deliver, that sales is the lifeblood, the most important element of your business. If you can't sell, there is no business. Now, you might be a tech founder or a CEO or a sales director or a salesperson. And of course, within those groups of people, there's going to be a wide range of aspirations for the results that they want. Some will be looking to exit their business within a given time frame in exchange for a healthy sum of money. Others will be looking to make a personal as well as a professional impact on the world. And some will simply want to earn a great deal of money by increasing their revenues and their margins to pay for the things that they want in life. If any of the points that you see here strike a chord with you, then stick around and see what comes up. You'll decide pretty quickly if this is something worth exploring. How do you know if you should continue to spend time with me here now? Well, it'll kind of depend on your answers to the stick around in the right place questions that you're reading right now. There are 6 of them. So take a moment and have a look. But there's another point on this page. People who have a less than 80% match between what they think their product does and what its value is, and what their customer thinks their product does and what their value is. So if I asked you, what's your product and what does it do? And you said, we make the smoothest widgets in all of Kansas. That tells me something, okay? If I asked your customer the same question and they responded with, well, you know what, it's one of the few green widgets we can find anywhere at any price that's manufactured to the tolerances that we need. And we need those tolerances to allow our product to stand out in the marketplace. That also tells me something. So do you reckon in the examples that we've just used, there's an 80% overlap in what's perceived as value? No, me neither. But you get the point. Let's do a quick recap. When you know how you're wired up and how you make sense of things, your levels of sustainable performance and well-being increase. Now, that makes sense, but in the multiplier side of things, when the multiplier kicks in, when you realize that everybody else works the same way, and you use that to your advantage, well, that's when the big stuff really happens. When you really understand how to create a sense of value in your customer, when you can construct a story for your customer using that value that has them at the center as the hero, when you can take that hero to the outcome of the outcome using language that motivates them towards action, when you can do these things, then you will transform your business and you will transform yourself. The Value Mentor program is for sort of founders, CEO entrepreneurs, and sales professionals who want to generate their most valuable and compelling sales proposition and transform their business's status from vendor to trusted advisor. What happens when you work with Value Mentor? Well, here's what's going to happen when you work with us. You're going to be able to close deals that right now you can't win. Why will you win them? Because you're going to have an irresistible value proposition. And your irresistible value proposition will be used by everybody in your business that has any contact with customers. You'll be using the same techniques and the methods that closed more than $2 billion in business-to-business sales. Well, we've designed the Value Mentor program to be modular, and I'll break it down into its sections for you here now. The first module is how it works. So before, when performance depended on being in the right frame of mind, the universe needed to be smiling at you and luck going your way, and your success appeared to be dependent on circumstances. And not just your success, of course, but your emotions appeared to be dictated by circumstance. In effect, you were owned by circumstance. By becoming aware of how you and others actually create your experience of life, you're going to gain a freedom to perform to your potential and succeed regardless of whether you feel like it or not. The second module is the decisions you have to make. In the past, when you started running a business or took over running one, it was assumed automatically that you became an entrepreneur and that all you needed was a good product that you were passionate about. When you get caught up in this one, you avoid addressing the hard questions about your relationship with your business because of fear and misunderstanding. But now, you can define your role and responsibilities by considering how you relate to your business. You'll be able to decide if you're an entrepreneur or a professional hobbyist. I'm a professional hobbyist. I'm not an entrepreneur. I thought I was, but I'm not. So I've made the changes necessary to allow me to be a professional hobbyist and be really good at what I do. We can all do this. Next comes the blueprint module. So before, when businesses wanted to improve their selling techniques, they'd often buy a bit of training, they'd go on a course, or they'd dish out the latest business books to everybody. Then they'd look at all the great features of the product and they'd try to establish value, and then they'd make up whatever form of words seemed to work in order to sell it. And then they might go on to use price reductions, special offers, repackaging, anything to encourage sales. But now, you can create a world-class value proposition for yourself that comes alive for your customer and drives high-margin sales without competing on price. And once you've got the skills, they're yours forever. You can learn everything you need to take the product you have, the value it brings, and the message you use to sell it, and bring them all together into a repeatable and efficient sales machine. And that's where the fun really begins. The next module in the program is communication, language, and storytelling. If you're a typical business, it's likely that the outcome that you're looking for is simply a sale, and the customer's outcome is to buy something that they think they need for a task. This is transactional commodity selling, where your business is regarded as a vendor. You do not want this. This is a bad thing. A vendor is non-strategic. A vendor is an interchangeable supplier. Vendors sell on features and benefits and price. And no, you do not want to be there. But we're going to show you how you can engage in what we call outcome of the outcome conversations with customers. This is where they share what they're going to do with the results of what your product does. They're going to take you into their future. They'll describe what becomes possible for them that wasn't possible before. And getting the client to create their own experience of what things are going to be like when they become your customer changes the perception of the value of your product and the value of your business to them. This is where the vendor caterpillar transformed itself into the trusted advisor butterfly. Communication is such an exciting topic. There are so many fun and interesting ways of interacting with people. And in this module, we get to apply some great stuff to business. Before, if someone asked you, what does your business do? And you responded with a statement like, well, we all make the roundest widgets in Kansas and the fastest growing company in our segment. And the person that asked that question, if they had any sense, they would run away very quickly. We're going to show you how to craft a succinct and compelling message that prompts your questioner to ask, ooh, how do you do that? And we're also going to look at how people make decisions and how they construct the maps they use to navigate through the world. We'll show you how to deal with customers with strongly held opinions and difficult personalities, using simple models to gain an insight into how each customer makes any given decision. The language portion explores ways that we can use everyday words and phrases that encourage people to actually process what you're saying. Now, most people will use standard English to communicate and explain what it is they do and what their product does for the customer. Or if they wanted to sound really clever, they might just use some jargon and some buzzwords. But we're going to show you that you don't have to do any of that. We're going to show you how to use the richness of the language to construct messages that encourage action and encourage the customer to listen and to go inside themselves and to create an experience of what they're seeing and what they're hearing. That experience will be associated with you and your product. Oh, now we get on to closing, that much misunderstood part of the sales process and the bit that seems to cause a lot of anxiety for people that don't know what it is. There's a belief held by many that closing in sales is the pinnacle of sales excellence, a mysterious skill mastered by only a very few and the hallmark of the top-flight sales professional. You see, that assumes closing is a separate process, and it's not. You're going to see that closing is a natural and necessary part of a sales conversation. It's simply the mutual agreement to proceed with the process of exchanging value in the form of goods, services, or something else that's being sold in return for some payment of some kind. It presents itself organically when you've completed the process correctly. And customers want to see it happen as much as you do. It brings closure and resolution to a collaborative engagement. Coaches. Do I have a coach? Of course I do. You're rootin' tootin' darn tootin' I do. You see, left to my own devices, I'd fritter away hours every day just messing with gadgets, being attracted to shiny things, and making those ooh, ooh noises like a small child entranced by a new discovery. But my coach isn't my friend, although I like him. I'm not paying him to be my friend. Coaching for you and your business is not an expensive luxury or an affectation. Working with an experienced coach who will hold you accountable to the commitments that you made to yourself is a rewarding and enlightening experience. So it's not a luxury. It's an investment in yourself and your business and those around you. It's going to pay for itself again and again and again. And that's what I will deliver to you. Just to return to the harsh realities of life, I thought I would put this in here for you. I thought I'd stick it in there so you could actually see that I've done this stuff, that I didn't make this stuff up. These are my numbers for the end of fiscal 2008 after 1 year in the big job. Metrics 1 and 3 were my responsibility, and metric 2 was this rolled up pan-European number that even though I got paid on it, I didn't have any influence or input into what other parts of the business were doing. Now, I mention that because with those numbers there, it looks like I missed my target, but I didn't. I was 101.6% for the year, so I just thought I'd drop that in there for you. As you do. All of this brings us nicely to this point. And it's the point where I ask you, if you're ready to learn how to create and deliver a sales proposition that will make your business stand out from the competition. You could have a new proposition in 30 days and see your profits go up by 100%. And you'll do it by using the same strategies that I used to sell more than $2 billion in career sales. Now we come to the fun part. How do I put a price on all of this? Seriously, how would you do it? Okay, this is how I've done it. If a business was to come to me and say, Ross, we want you to put a program together for us that's got online content, a manual, personal one-to-one coaching, decades of proven experience, world-class references, demonstrable evidence of achievement, modules on how humans work, how language works, how we create new value propositions, how we move up the food chain in our clients, and how we can create client stories, and so on and so on. If I wrapped all my courses up together to deliver that, that's what the historical costing column is. And that would cost you £76,000. And you know what? That would be a bargain. If a business was to then say, ooh, I'm sure we could get it cheaper than that, well, this is what you would do. You'd trawl around the internet for a month or two, create a spreadsheet, test and validate dozens of suppliers, rank them up, phone them up, and then start the task of trying to manage diaries and content and time zones and a million other things. Now, if by any chance it all came together with no hiccups and no mistakes and no misunderstandings, perfectly synchronized calendars, then you might bring it in at around about £36,000. How do I know? Well, because we did the exercise. Those are the numbers. We did that, so you don't have to. Now, I'll leave it to your imagination and experience to work out how much tax in the form of grief tax that you're going to need to stick on top of that number for all the hassle and misery that you're going to encounter along the way. So here's a tip. Don't do it that way. But we're not going to ask you to pay that. Ooh, guarantees. Are there any guarantees? In a normal one-on-one coaching engagement, if a client asks if there's a guarantee, then I say to them, yes, there is. You give me your guarantee that you will show up, and I mean really show up, honor your commitments to yourself, and do the things that we agreed that you're supposed to do. That's the guarantee. And that's true here as well, but with an added little twist. We do, in fact, have a full effort-based guarantee. If you work through the course and the coaching and having fulfilled your commitments, feel that you've gained absolutely no value, then we'll refund your money. That's fair enough, isn't it? Let's do a Q&A. Here's the first one. Do I need this? No, you don't need it. It's not essential for your well-being. Maslow has you well covered for the things that you actually need. So now that we've established that you don't actually need it, let's rephrase the question. Does my business need it? If you're asking that question, then the answer is probably yes. Yes, it does. But you kind of knew that already, didn't you? But if you can honestly answer yes to all of the following questions, then maybe not. When new prospects meet you for the first time, are they excited to arrange a second conversation? Does your sales force always meet the decision maker or economic buyer, the person that signs the checks? Do your customers share their business strategy with you? Can your customers describe the value of what it is they buy from you in financial and strategic terms? Are you able to claim that price is rarely an issue in the business that you compete for? Does your business need it? Oh, I can't afford it. Do you know what? That might be true. And we don't want you to invest money or time that you simply can't afford. Maybe better to wait until you can. I said I had a coach, and he costs me a lot of money. And I often ask myself, can I afford this? Why do I keep paying this guy? After all, I should know about this stuff. I do it for others. I've been doing it for years. I've tried lots of times to save money on things that I probably don't need anymore, but I found out really quickly that my decision was costing me more than I was saving. Now, just because I know these things doesn't mean that I do them. Everyone in business is doing things they'd be better off not doing, and they're avoiding doing the things that they know that they should. And this is where the content and discipline of our program can be of great benefit to you. We'll hold you accountable to the goals that you've set yourself. You see, I don't fire my coach anymore. I simply can't afford to. I don't have the time, Ross. Ooh, well, I'll call this one out straight away. Yes, you do. Unless your calendar is full of qualified sales calls and closing calls and thank you for the business calls and let me take you on a round of golf calls, then you have the time. There will be plenty of slots in your diary currently filled with the stuff that isn't helping your business thrive. Stuff that could and probably should be being done by somebody else, or, doesn't actually need to be done at all. So, yes, you do have the time. I don't trust you. Ooh, and quite right too. You shouldn't trust anybody you haven't looked into with your hard-earned money. I don't trust strangers either, but I do invest in people I haven't met personally. Before I proceed, I look into their profile on LinkedIn. I look at their testimonials, and if appropriate, I'll ask for a reference call with a client. I ask to speak to them if it's an investment that I can't afford to write off, and I encourage you to do the same thing. See, if you decide you want this, then that's going to happen. We will speak together. If you want to do something about this, then you and I are going to have a conversation because we're not taking anybody on that I haven't personally spoken to. Well, Ross, I already have a sales methodology. We've already got one of those. Good for you. That's fantastic. All right, it's a great place to start. But of course, this isn't about replacing whatever sales method you embrace. Spin, Huthwaite, Powerbase, Miller-Hyman, old school Xerox, they're all excellent. This isn't a sales methodology. It's about using whatever system you prefer to the very best effect. You'll find that you'll get more out of the investment that you've already made in sales training when it's got something to stick to. And that's what our program does. It provides a solid foundation for whatever methodology you choose to place upon it. What's all this creating experiences mumbo jumbo? Ooh. Well, that's a pretty good question, actually. So what was it about the question? Did it confuse you? Did it irritate you? Did it conjure up images of new wavy types chewing on bark? Where did it come from? So if your answer was something like, well, you see, that kind of stuff makes me suspicious, or it bugs me to see that stuff talked about in business, there's no place for it, then you don't know how experiences are created. And if you think the answer I just gave you compounded the issue, then you don't know how experiences are created. But what do you suppose would become possible for you if you did? What does performance coaching have to do with business? Everything. Athletes and artists spend decades acquiring skills so that when the time comes to display them to the world, they can get access to them and use them. Business is the same. A question like this often arises, right? So if I've worked so hard to acquire 100 units of business skill, how come I can only seem to be able to get access to 50 units just when I need them? Well, that's a performance issue, and that's why we include performance coaching in the program. Here's what's going to happen when you work with us. You're going to be able to close deals that right now are out of reach. Not because you don't belong in those deals, but because right now you don't have a proposition and dialogue to get to them. Your irresistible value proposition is going to be used by everybody in your business that has any form of contact with a customer. Everyone will know your value proposition. No exceptions. How about this? Imagine being able to finally get rid of those ghost deals that make up 25% of your pipeline. And don't laugh, you know what I'm talking about. Because you've created a clear, well-articulated value proposition and you know how to deliver it, you can home in on those customers that are a perfect fit for you. And what a great place to be. Here we are at the end. Is it time for the big close? No, it's not. But it's time for action. And here's the action. Go to www.valuementor.io. Click on the red Get a Price box. Pick a day and a time on the calendar. Schedule a time for us to have a call so we can talk about what you'd like to achieve for yourself and your business. Does that make sense? Of course it does. So get on and do it.